All right, let's jump right in. We're going to look at this really pivotal moment right at the very beginning of Jesus' public ministry, at least according to the Gospel of Matthew. And it all kicks off with a crisis, but his first move, well, it's completely unexpected, and it really sets the stage for everything that comes after. So here's the spark. John the Baptist, his wild, charismatic cousin, this hugely influential prophet, he's just been arrested, thrown in jail by a paranoid and brutal government. And this isn't just a family tragedy. You've got to understand this is a national crisis. The voice that was crying out for change has just been silenced.
For Jesus, hearing this news is a signal. It's the starting gun. He knows his time has come. You see, John was preparing the way. And now, with John taken off the board, it's up to Jesus to pick up that mantle and start his own movement. The time for quietly working in the carpenter shop, that's over.
So think about it. In a moment of deep personal grief and a massive national crisis, what do? Right? Do you march to the center of power to protest? Do you run away to the wilderness to mourn? Jesus does neither of those things. His first move is this very deliberate, very strategic journey. The big question is, where did he go?
He heads north. And this is so important. Because you have to remember, in the Bible, geography is always theology. Where you go says something powerful about who you are and what you're all about. And Jesus' choice of destination? It speaks volumes.
He doesn't go south to Jerusalem, the seat of religious and political power. Nope. Instead, he essentially packs his bags, leaves his sleepy hometown, and heads for the fringes, the borderlands, a place that most people with any kind of influence would have gone out of their way to avoid.
And Matthew, the writer, is incredibly specific here. He says, Jesus makes his new home base in Capernaum, this little fishing village, right in the heart of a region with a deep, painful, and dark history, the territory of Zebulun and Naphtali. This is not a random choice. This is a statement.
You see, this region wasn't just some spot on a map. It was a symbol. For generations, it was actually known by a much darker name, a place that was really defined by its trauma and its total loss of hope.
So what's the backstory here? Well, it's pretty rough. These lands, Zebulun and Naphtali, were on the northern frontier, which meant they were always the first to be overrun by invading armies. After the Assyrians completely decimated the population, the land just became synonymous with this deep, generational despair. It literally earned the name, the region and shadow of death. So why on earth would Jesus intentionally move into a place like this? I mean, who does that? Well, it's because his arrival was the fulfillment of a very ancient promise, a light that was spoken of centuries ago specifically for this broken and forgotten land. And this contrast just lays it out perfectly. Into this land that was defined by violence, he brings good news. Into a place of generational despair, he starts calling together a brand new community. And into the land of absolute darkness, he becomes a great light. And there it is. That's the mic drop. Matthew quotes the prophet Isaiah, who centuries earlier had spoken these exact words of hope over this very region. What Matthew is doing is making this profound claim. He's saying that long-awaited light has finally arrived, in the flesh, in the person of Jesus.
Okay, so he's arrived. He's in the land of hopelessness. What's his first move? He doesn't build a monument. He doesn't issue some big political manifesto. He starts with a simple message, and he begins to build a new kind of family.
This is his inaugural address, right? The first words of his public ministry. Now, I know that word repent can sound really harsh to our ears today, but in this context, it's actually a word of incredible, unbelievable hope.
He's not saying, hey, you feel guilty about everything. He's saying, turn around. There's a totally new path available. Now, for people who are stuck in generations of despair, this is a revolutionary idea. It's a declaration that your past does not have to be your future. A whole new reality is right at your fingertips.
So, message delivered, he immediately puts it into practice. He doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk, literally. He goes for a stroll along the Sea of Galilee, and he starts looking for the very first members of this new community, the ones who are going to help him carry this light. He sees two sets of brothers, they're fishermen, working, and gives them this incredible invitation, follow me. And their response is just stunning. It says they immediately drop their nets. They leave their boats, their business, even their own father standing there. I mean, in that culture, this was a shocking violation of every social duty. It was a radical, all-in, no turning back response.
The Greek phrase for follow me literally means come after me. And the image it creates is beautiful.
It's like a child following a parent through a super muddy field, stepping exactly where they stepped to stay safe and get through. He's not just saying, believe in my ideas. He's saying, walk where I walk. Put your feet in my footprints, and I will lead you through the mud.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? This whole story isn't just about something that happened 2,000 years ago. Matthew is presenting it as a repeatable pattern, a kind of blueprint for how real transformative hope actually begins in the world.
And here's that model that Jesus establishes with his very first move. Hope doesn't start in the shiny halls of power. It starts by going to the most vulnerable. It starts by going to the places where hopelessness is just a generational reality. It means going where the powerful do not want to go. It means you go into the darkness and you light a single candle.
And it is so tempting to read this and think, wow, okay, these guys were like spiritual superheroes. But Matthew isn't just giving us a history lesson here, and he isn't just introducing us to the main characters of his book. He's doing something much more profound.
He's holding up a mirror. He's asking us to look at this pattern and then to look at our own world, to look at our own communities, even into our own hearts. The model says, true change, true hope begins in the darkest places. And so the question it leaves us with is, what does it mean for us to follow that same pattern today?